Hello aspirants. So in a long journey towards world geography along with the physical geography, now we are stuck in South America. So what do we have in South America? As usual, we will start with the basics. First, the biogeographic regions. So I want you to first locate this equator. Now, unlike Africa, which had equator, Tropic of Cancer, and Tropic of Capricorn, the only continent where all three lines go along with the prime meridian. South America has the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn. One of the rare countries which has both the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn is present in South America. It's Brazil. So, in biogeographic regions, you can actually see how the biogeographic regions differentiates itself across different latitudinal extents, just like Africa, but not as clear as Africa. So we have the equator, and close to the equator, it is the Great Amazon Basin. You must have known about Amazon rainforest, the lungs of the earth, and extremely dense forests. Many different species, many parts of the Amazon rainforest has not yet been discovered as well. It is that rare. So we have this Amazon rainforest, and the basin of the Amazon river is huge. It covers many countries altogether. That's why it's the largest basin on the earth. So after covering the Amazon rainforest, we get grasslands. So we have two types of grasslands here. I don't know whether you're able to see this, but there is llanos over here. Llanos is present in Colombia and Venezuela, along with some parts of this going to Guyana. And you know why Venezuela is extremely important this year. And below, in the same ranges, right below over here, we have the Campas or Campos. It is present somewhere here. It's not written in, it's present somewhere here around the tropic, just touching the Tropic of Capricorn. There's another kind of grasslands present. So it is not a clear differentiation like we had in Africa, but we find things happening here. Then we have the deserts. So you see the power of a cold ocean current, because we have the Atacama desert over here, and beyond the grasslands we are supposed to have deserts according to the biogeographic regions. So we have the Atacama desert, but the desert runs almost the entire length. Why so? Because of the cold ocean current called the Peruvian current, which flows from here. This is the power of a cold current. You see, it never allows rainfalls to happen, and this is what we are left with. Then we have the Patagonian desert over here. Now this is not because of the cold current, but this is because it falls in the rain shadow area of the Andes. So this is pretty much it. And we also have some parts of South America having the Mediterranean kind of climate, which you will learn later on. Next, we get to the tectonics. So this is the tectonic plate of South America. Now, the Nazca plate is getting into and colliding with the South American plate over here. So once these two happen, then of course you get, when there is an ocean continent collision, you get number one, young fold mountains. And what are the young fold mountains? We have the entire range of Andes, and it is stuck with this line. You see how it's like a jigsaw puzzle, completely stuck. The entire shape of South America is in perfect alignment with the plate boundary. This is how the plates actually work. So ocean continent collision will be here, and we will be getting the Andes mountains along with volcanoes. Remember the first class, what we had said, that whenever there is an ocean current, whenever there is an ocean present, a liquid present, then there will be volcanoes also present. So ocean is present here, so volcanoes will also be present here. Now, third will be trenches. Trenches are not mentioned in this map, but there is a huge amount of trenches present right on the bottom. You can look it up. And that's how the Andes have formed. Now, a new mountain range has been formed in the western part of South America. Western part of South America is the Andes. That means all of these regions had been formed somewhere in the past. So we get the new boundaries in one direction, and the old highlands, everything old is present over there, is present in the western part of the continent. Now think about this. In Africa, what did we learn? Whenever there is an old part, then it has been weathered a lot. It has gone through a lot. A lot of weathering activities has taken place. So we're supposed to get some highlands in those regions, and because at one point of time they must be young, but now it is a completely uh, stable piece of land and not much activity is going on there. So it has to be more relaxed. I mean, nothing much is happening. So weathering, erosion takes place on a big scale in those regions. One question which I would like you to think about is the Chile rise. This is the Chile rise, and one part of Chile rise is coming here, another part is going here. So I would like you to think that what is happening over here, and whatever plate boundary this is, I don't know, you know what plate boundary this is, what is happening here. It is important in geography that you keep on thinking, you keep on analyzing things. So you must have never heard of Chile rise, you don't know what Chile rise is. I have told you this plate boundary and two plates with different arrows. I'm not even telling you what arrows these are. Think what is happening here and what will happen in future. Next, Cordillera. So this is extremely important in the Americas. Cordilleras are something which we did not come across in Australia, in the non-Australian part of Oceania, and neither in Africa. But in South America, as well as when you move in North America, we will come across Cordilleras. So what are these? Cordilleras are basically bunch of mountains, kind of parallel ranges of mountains are togetherly called Cordilleras. Over here, I have just focused in the northern part of South America. This is, you can see Colombia over here, and there is Venezuela present on the border in Colombia, right there. So this region over here, this one I'm focusing on. So this region, because this has a clear-cut distinction between the three Cordilleras. So South America has three Cordilleras. There are three Cordilleras in South America. Now, one is the Western Cordillera. Of course, it will be on the western part. This one is the Western Cordillera. Then we have the central one. It is almost touching the northern tip of South America. And we have the Eastern Cordillera over here. Now, as Andes gets down in South America, all three of them start converging. And it becomes almost impossible to distinguish between these three. That's why northern portion is very easy for you to look and understand what Cordilleras are. So the three Cordilleras of South America are, number one is Western Cordillera. It is present in some part of it is in Colombia and moving downwards into Ecuador. Second is Central. And third is Eastern. Remember, South America has three Cordilleras. Now I have to get into stuff inside South America quite extensively because it is extremely important for 2026. I am guessing some more things will be happening in future in South America, making it very important for this year. So remember, Cordilleras, part of the Andes, three different types: Western, Central, and Eastern. All of them are pretty prominent in northern part of South America, and then they start merging with each other. So we are getting into more highlands. Andes we have covered. So what did we cover in Andes? The Cordilleras in the north, and they start merging. They are formed by ocean continent collision. There are volcanoes present, some dormant and some active. And next we are getting into highlands. You see, we had analyzed that some tectonic movement must have taken place back in the day in these regions. Now they are not seeing any kind of tectonic movement, so they have eroded, they have weathered down. And what we are left with basically highlands. the Brazilian highlands and the Guinea highlands. Of course, there are more highlands present. Some of the textbooks also focus on a Patagonia plateau present over here. But I have not seen it in many textbooks. I've seen it in some textbooks, so I'm not focusing on that a lot. So there are Guinea highlands and Brazilian highlands. Just remember them. And you see, this is also the reason why we are not seeing grasslands. Now, coming to grasslands, we had the equator. So, after the Amazon rainforest, after rainforest comes grasslands. But we find grasslands here. But grasslands should have been here. Grasslands should have been here, not here. Why not? Think again. Because of Brazilian highlands. Now, Brazilian highlands is a water source. It provides water to a lot, many tributaries of the Amazon. Many tributaries are growing here. If you look at the Amazon basin, it is full of water. So much of water is there. So this water makes this part of land extremely fertile. And so grasses have to shift. Now some environmental factors have taken place and grasses have formed over here. Again, so you see how geography starts making sense, how physical geography starts making sense. Now there was one very important line present in the Africa slides. I want you to remember that. I am telling you what gist it tells us. It told us that latitudes provide us the different regions, but it is the boundaries and the coastlines which actually define how the weather and the biogeographic regions are going to be inside that piece of land. Now, same goes for the Guinea Highlands. Again, Guinea Highlands is important, of course, Venezuela. Now, they also provide a lot of water for the Amazon rainforest, the Amazon River. Source region of several Amazon tributaries, Brazilian highlands, ancient eroded plateau. You see, it's extremely logical. You just have to think that what must have been happening here to form these highlands. Made of hard crystalline rocks, of course. We know about cratons and how cratons are formed. So I guess this is a part of that itself. And yeah, Angel Falls in the Guinea Highlands. Very important. Angel Falls is in the Guinea Highlands. Victoria Falls is in the Zambezi River. Now we are moving to the rivers and drainage. Now in entire rivers and every continent will have one important river. Every continent will have one river which defines what that continent is. Let's revise. For Australia, what did we have? The Murray-Darling. And Australia also extremely dry. Now move on to Africa. The most important river in Africa, the longest river on the planet Earth, the Nile. Where did the Nile go from? Two parts, White Nile and the Blue Nile. White Nile originates from Lake Victoria. Why Lake Victoria? The mnemonic told to you was that as Queen Victoria was a white lady, so White Nile goes from Lake Victoria. What is left? Blue Nile goes from Ethiopian highlands. Now we are coming to South America. What is the important river in South America? The Amazon, the world's largest basin, and in fact Amazon is also considered one of the world's largest rivers. Nile is length. Amazon is breadth. Just remember that and you will be good to go. So there is a trick to remember about or understand the way South American rivers behave. Andes is in the western edge close to the Pacific, so rivers cannot go westward because there is a huge mountain block just like our Western Ghats. All flow into the Atlantic Ocean. Just remember this, all the rivers in South America goes towards the Atlantic Ocean. Of course, there will be some short, very swift rivers going to the Pacific. I mean, you cannot say no, but remember this. Now, the Amazon. So, first of all, there is a country called as Peru. You must have heard a lot about it in the La Nina, El Nino video. Peru is over here. So, Amazon is actually supposed to start somewhere in the Peruvian highlands. This is the Amazon over here. It's going. Now, it goes like this. There are so many rivers. You see what had I told you before? The basin of Amazon is so huge that it covers countries upon countries. Almost entire Brazil is covered. Brazil is a huge country. Similarly, we have it's covering the mountainous regions of Bolivia. It is covering Peru. It is covering Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, French Guiana, Suriname. Everything is covered almost. There are very few countries in the southern cone. It is called the southern cone, the south region of South America. Only those are left. Otherwise, most of the countries are covered with this Amazon basin. Okay, so what do we have? Mouth is, of course, the Atlantic Ocean and the largest river basin globally. Now, of course, one major factor is the rainfall because of equator. When we study the biogeographic regions, we will see that equatorial regions are those regions which receive rainfall on a daily basis for 2 to 3 hours. So daily rainfall for 2 to 3 hours, of course, gives it a massive amount of rainfall, massive amount of water as well. And look at the number of rivers flowing into it. Brazilian highlands are present here. Brazilian highlands are also giving so many rivers to it. And there are two tributaries which you must remember. One is the west tributary called the Maranon, and second is Xingu and Negro tributaries from the east. Here is the Negro River. Why I have specified on the Negro River? It's because it forms a part of the boundary between Venezuela and Colombia. Somewhere here. Okay, rest of the rivers, when you get this slide, you can just have a look and just enjoy looking at the slides and have a good time traveling through the Amazon, different tributaries, different rivers. Now, Orinoco is another very important river. It's close to the Amazon. Orinoco is very important river of Venezuela. So Orinoco is almost, it has its origin in the Guiana Highlands, and it is flowing from here, forming a huge boundary between Colombia and Venezuela, and then flowing into the Atlantic Ocean. Short river, but extremely important because it forms a good delta system. Along with that, it also is a boundary between Venezuela and Colombia. Rio de la Plata system. Now we are moving towards the southern region. You see, when you are studying South America, it has to be studied into two parts. One is the northern part, that is Brazil, part of Brazil and north of Brazil, which is forming a boundary with North America, and other is the southern cone. Now in rivers, we are shifting to the southern cone. So southern cone has the Rio de la Plata, this one. Now it is more of an estuary. It flows into the Samborimbon Bay over here, and this is the Rio de la Plata system. Okay, there are three rivers which are important over here: Parana, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So Uruguay River, not the country, is flowing from here. Parana River is over here, and the Paraguay River is up north, this one. So all of them come over here. There are some waterfalls, you don't have to remember this. But you see the effect of Rio de la Plata starts so up north. It is starting over here, as mentioned here in the map. So Rio de la Plata, three things: Parana, Paraguay, Uruguay. Now Parana is a river which forms later on in the downstream region, and Uruguay and the Parana River, they meet over here, just close to Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. While the Paraguay River is coming from here. Remember, Paraguay River is the most northern river of the Rio de la Plata system. It is going here around Gran Chaco, another grasslands area of South America, and it is joining the Parana River here, and it is going below, joining the Uruguay River, forming the Rio de la Plata system. Next important part is natural vegetation and grasslands. Of course, now this is the actual map of South America, how realistically it is. This is the Amazon rainforest. completely full of rainforest, extremely dense, almost impossible for human activities to do anything over there. After that comes our grasslands. Now we have one grassland over here, one grassland over here, two. Then there is a form called as caatinga. It is a thorn forest and shrubs that is present in eastern part of South America or Brazil. This is the caatinga. And after that we get some amount of deserts. Now this is the Gran Chaco area called dry forest and open woodland. I'm sorry if I had mentioned before that it is a grassland. It is not a grassland. They have two grasslands. One is Llanos and Campos. One in the north, one in the south. We'll go through that now. First is Llanos. So we covered the Amazon rainforest. Llanos is tall grasses, very few trees. And this forms somewhere north. Now, very important part of this grasslands is the Orinoco River, which, as mentioned before, flows somewhere here, forms a boundary between Colombia and then goes into the Atlantic Ocean. So this is present in both Colombia and Venezuela. So this Llanos grasslands is treeless because flooding prevents tree growth. Remember this. Llanos is treeless because flooding prevents growth, and of course it falls in the perfect boundary to form grasslands. Now, why am I telling you to remember this? Cerrado is different. Cerrado is the different other grasslands is not because of river waterlogging system over here. Cerrado is because of it is completely similar to savanna of Africa. Now savanna grasslands of Africa have a fire system going on. So because of repeated seasonal fires, the new tree species, new tree seeds, they are not able to grow, they get burnt. Very few trees are able to grow, and once they grow, they have a huge amount of root system, and fires don't affect them after that. So there is a tree grass existence in the Cerrado grasslands. So soil and fire play a major role over here, and it is mostly in Brazil. Pampas is a temperate grassland. Now the grassland which we have covered now, Llanos, Cerrado, also Pampas, are the temperate grasslands. Now these are the Pampas are the temperate grasslands over here. Temperate grasslands are always extremely fertile. We will be covering temperate grasslands in North America video as well, along with Europe as well. So temperate grasslands are extremely beneficial, are extremely fertile, extremely rich in nutrients. So you have, whenever there are temperate grasslands present, you will have a huge amount of cattle and dairy farming going on there. Now we are going to the deserts. So deserts covered extensively before as well. Atacama Desert. Why is it formed? Because there are three reasons for its formation. Number one, high pressure region. Why is it a high pressure region? Falling cell, Hadley falling cell is present here. Number two, Peruvian current. And number three, Andes Mountains. Andes Mountains do not allow any kind of rainfall to occur in the western part of Andes. That's why Atacama is present here. Rainfalls try to come here, but they are unable to. In fact, they form the Gran Chaco over here. Next, Patagonia. Patagonia is mostly because it falls in the rain shadow area of the Andes, and the westerlies and other winds, they are unable to bring any kind of moisture to this region. So we have the Patagonia desert. This is the first cold desert we are covering. It is the rain shadow area of the Andes, and because of low temperature also, moisture is unable to be held by the winds there. So it results in a Patagonia desert. It is a cold desert. So for the first time we are coming across a cold desert. Cold desert do not usually form because of the high pressure region or because of they are present in a cold current is affecting them. They are formed just because of other reasons. Now, seas and gulfs. You see, most important gulf right now is the Gulf of Venezuela, right next to the Caribbean Sea. Why is the Gulf of Venezuela important? Because of oil reserves. Whatever has happened in Colombia is because one of the main reasons, which is told in many news sources and articles, is that there is a lot of oil sources present in Gulf of Venezuela. That's why the capital of Venezuela, I don't know why they haven't marked it here, Caracas, is also present somewhere in the north. So bordering. Another important is Strait of Magellan. Now, Strait of Magellan is extreme south, right, almost very close to Antarctica. There are two things over here. Number one is the Magellan Strait. Extremely hard to cross through it. This is the Strait of Magellan. And it separates South America from another island called Tierra del Fuego, a part of Argentina. And this also connects Strait of Magellan, it also connects the Atlantic Ocean with the Pacific Ocean. Both of them meet somewhere in Cape Horn. Remember Cape Horn, remember Tierra del Fuego and Strait of Magellan. Another important thing you should remember is the Drake Passage. Now this passage, very hard to navigate. There are two. There is the Drake Passage and there is the Cape of Good Hope. Remember, these two continents, South America and Africa, both of them find the passage from their southern boundaries extremely hard to navigate. So Africa has named it Cape of Good Hope, and one explorer, Drake, had come across this passage, so he named it as the Drake Passage, going below the South American continent. There was Cape of Good Hope in Africa. Let me write it like this. And there is Cape Horn in South America. Two important islands you need to remember, just two. One is the Galápagos Islands because it is connected to Charles Darwin, part of Ecuador. Another one is Falkland Islands, territory of the UK, United Kingdom. UK is one of those countries who have, UK and France, both of them actually, have some portions of their remaining colonial history in many continents. Now South America, we know it's Falkland Islands. So war also happened, 1982 to 83 I think it took place, Falkland Islands War. Argentina keeps claiming Falkland Islands, but the people of Falkland, they have told time and again that they won't remain with the UK. This is a very important part of this lecture. These are some facts which you must remember, especially in 2026. Bolivia and Paraguay are two landlocked countries. Bolivia and Paraguay, bordering each other as well. And why do we remember this? Paraguay River comes from inside from Paraguay and it joins the Rio de la Plata over here. Uruguay River is also present here. Brazil borders everyone except Chile and Ecuador. Now, none of these countries open to both Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. Colombia opens to the Caribbean Sea, not the Atlantic Ocean. Colombia connects South America to North America. And southern cone countries, which I had said, are Argentina, Chile, Uruguay and Paraguay. So Bolivia is considered as the boundary. Lake Titicaca is between Peru and Bolivia. It is the world's highest lake, highest navigable lake. And La Paz, the capital of Bolivia, is the highest administrative capital in the world. Quito, the capital of Ecuador, is the closest capital to the equator. French Guiana is an overseas territory of the France. Not it is not a separate country in itself. So South America has both the British colonial over here and the French colony of French Guiana over here. This is what you should remember, and it is very easy to remember all of these countries. Let me show you how. First things first, whenever you have a map of South America, you get the big countries out of the way. And I need you to practice this because this is something which is very important in this year, and you should be remembering all of these countries. It's very easy. You see, first big countries, get it out of the way. Brazil, Argentina, Chile. All these three countries are first countries to mark on your map. All gone. Okay. Now we have the Peru current, the Humboldt current flowing from here. So this is Chile, the portion where the El Nino La Nina affects most strongly is Peru. Next we have the country that is bordering North America and South America, that is Colombia. And border of Colombia is Venezuela. These three, Guyana, Suriname and French Guiana. First of all, French Guiana is a part of France. So first mark French Guiana and get it done with French Guiana. Next we have, you are studying GS. Guyana and Suriname will be close to each other. Guyana and French Guiana will not be close to each other because GS. So you have Guyana and Suriname. Okay, so northern portion is done. Country which is closest to the equator, its capital is Ecuador. Now we are left with just the three countries. Two of them are landlocked countries, which is BP, Bolivia and Paraguay. Why BP? Because unable to access to the ocean makes them angry. So their BP rises. Bolivia and Paraguay. Always frowning. Bolivia and Paraguay. And what we are left with, Uruguay over here, bordering. So it is quite easy to remember all the countries of South America. Do practice it time and again. That's how you will get to it. Next, we will be starting with North America. And the tagline is, it's not just oil. So we'll be starting that soon. And thank you for joining.